The bicycle skills lessons are the heart of Let's Go Biking. While these lessons require preparation, children love doing these skill-building activities and developing their confidence. This is how Let's Go Biking achieves the goal of helping children transfer knowledge to automatic behaviors that will help them be safer when they ride their bicycles. Don't be daunted by the task of leading these activities.
Let me see the left turn signal.
While they are best taught to classes averaging 12 to 30 children over a period of 1 to 3 days, conducting these skill-building activities can be as simple or elaborate as your resources can support. The instructor's guide details each step you will need to take to get organized based on the size and resources available for your program. It also gives you tips on how to best accomplish each step. A nearby local street temporarily blocked off from traffic lets children practice skills safely in a real environment. The next best thing is to find a 90 by 90 foot smoothly paved surface. Parking lots or large basketball courts work well for these courses. If you must use an indoor space, the gymnasium of a school or community center may be a good option. Brightly colored duct tape is quick to apply on clean, dry pavement. Chalk or masking tape are other materials that may work to lay out the course. If possible, set up the day before, using the course layout diagrams provided in the lesson. 2 people are usually sufficient for setting up one course in under an hour. Courses that are used to teach more advanced skills may require more time. Course props help to create a simulation of real-world traffic situations. Most can be made from cardboard boxes, corrugated plastic, or even lightweight plywood. For a class of 30, you'll need at least 16 bikes, 1 for every 2 students, plus 1 or 2 in case of mechanical trouble mid-class. Each child will also need a helmet. See the instructor's guide for the pros and cons of supplying bicycles and helmets versus kids bringing their own. No matter which bicycle skill-building activity you choose, you begin with checking over bicycles and making sure helmets fit properly. The helmet should sit level and cover the top of the forehead. If the straps are snugly adjusted and the buckle fastened, you shouldn't be able to rock the helmet from side to side or back and forth. Riding bicycles is exciting for the kids, so you need to be prepared to manage their enthusiasm. Children should be on the bikes only when they are performing an activity. Be sure to have a designated area to park bikes when children aren't performing bicycle skills.
I want you first of all to straddle your bike. Do you know what that means?
When giving directions to the group before performing a skill, ask them to straddle their bikes with both feet flat on the ground and their hands palms up on the handlebars. This position discourages children from fidgeting with their bikes. Some children may need more individualized attention. It's a good idea to have a volunteer on hand who can work on developing basic skills in a smaller group. There are up to 4 different course layouts, depending on the age and skill level of the children. Multiple skills are taught on each course. The bike control course is a simple simulated street.
Try to hold your feet up, and if you feel like you're going to fall, then you put your feet down, okay?
Beginners practice scooting and balancing. Eventually, they work up to gliding with their feet off the ground. By doing this step, many kids can skip the training wheels.
You're the last one, I think.
Children who have developed their balance practice riding in a straight line and stopping when a whistle blows.
Okay, good job.
Children who are ready for more complex skills practice hand signals, scanning over the shoulder by being able to see whether an instructor standing behind them has a hand up or down, and dodging hazards. Having students follow the leader is a fun way to begin teaching children how to ride cooperatively with others. Once students can control their bicycle, they can practice combining skills on the challenge course. They demonstrate proficiency at scanning over the shoulder. They also use hand signals while making controlled left and right turns. The next course is the driveways course, which has a looped street and 2 driveways. On this course, children practice intermediate skills, like stopping at the end of the driveway, checking for traffic before entering the street, and using signals for turns. This course works best with 2 people running the activity. The final course, where children demonstrate more advanced skills, is the intersection course. By changing props, this course can be set up as a 2-way stop, a 4-way stop, or be controlled by a traffic signal. 1 or 2 assistants are recommended to help the instructor monitor the course while the instructor conducts the activities and assesses skills.
Who was here first?
Some of the more advanced skills learned on this course are yielding,
Okay, he's
determining
next.
right-of-way,
Okay, then the one on your right goes next. Okay.
and obeying a traffic signal. An assistant or student can work the phases of the traffic signal. This course also allows you to add complexity to the intersection by adding pedestrians. Pedestrians must practice safe crossing skills at crosswalks, while bicyclists must practice watching for and yielding to pedestrians. These skill-building activities are a fun way to give children a safe environment to practice the biking skills that can become the foundation for a safe, healthy lifestyle into adulthood and an experience they'll never forget. So, what are you waiting for? Download the instructor's guide and lesson plans to get started with Let's Go Biking.